Hi, Broncos country. What is going on? Fresh off of my McDonald's binger yesterday to heal my soul of all of the sports anguish from the Avs and the Nuggets. We are back at it, full blown with Broncos news, and right off the bat, day one, we got some breaking news, and it's not necessarily good news, obviously, but something to break to you. So the Broncos had an unfortunate injury. Drew Sanders, inside linebacker slash edge rusher. Had the reports have said, according to Cliss and multiple people earlier today, that early in the offseason program, Drew Sanders had tore his Achilles, and his timeline to return is unknown. Now, obviously, that's going to knock him out for at least the large majority of the season, if not all of it, even though it did happen earlier. And when I dug into it a little bit more, I realized that this injury actually happened before the draft. So it was early last month, which in a way makes a lot of sense why they drafted Jonah Ellis, especially because they had talked about moving Drew Sanders to edge. But then that ultimately seemed like maybe they move him back to inside linebacker. Anyways, a very unfortunate situation for a young player that was on my top 10 X Factors list, and somebody that is one of those guys that profiles to have incredible talent, incredible upside. But it's going to be interesting to see where he finds his home at in this Broncos roster. So what does this mean? Well, obviously it sucks. Obviously it means that now Jonas Griffith is going to have to really. There's going to be a lot of competition at that inside linebacker spot because I personally did believe that he was going to be, an inside, like an off-ball linebacker in this offense, and not necessarily an edge. And maybe in certain situations they can bring him off the edge, but I thought they were really going to groom him to be an off-ball backer. So obviously it's going to be Jonas Griffin. It's going to be some Cody Barton. You're going to mix in a couple other guys to really create some competition in that in yeah in that room. And so it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. Personally, I really like Jonas Griffith. I think if he's somebody that can stay healthy, not only is he one of the best special teams players on our team, but he's somebody that can be a very, very, very good off-ball linebacker. It's just injuries have always been his Achilles heel. No pun intended there. Um, So we'll see what that ultimately does. It's really unfortunate for somebody like like Drew Sanders because he was someone that was really highly touted as a part of our draft class last year. I think he would have been a big determining factor as to what that overall group graded out as. So definitely really sucks for him, and sucks for the team. But they'll need to continue to move on. They'll need to continue to be able to find guys that can fill the role, develop some guys, or bring some more guys in because inside linebacker, specifically off ball backer, is one of those positions where I think you can end up finding a lot of pretty solid veteran guys that could become available after training camp, later on in the off season, just because it's not an area of high importance, and so if teams can cut the salary cap a little bit, would never be surprised if they ended up doing something like that. So keep an eye out on that. But as it currently stands right now, the inside linebackers on this team are Lavelle Bailey. You know, don't know too much about him. I think he's one of the undrafted guys that we had signed from Fresno State. Cody Barton. Oh, man, excuse me. Ooh, a long day. Cody Barton, somebody we signed in the offseason program as a part of the free agent group. 60-year player out of Utah, played with the Commanders last year, and has kind of been around the league a little bit. He's got some really exciting things on tape, and he's got some things that are also concerning. So he's kind of up and down there. Jonas Griffith, obviously somebody we talked about. Alec Mock, another guy, Air Force undrafted free agent that we have. And then there's obviously Alex Singleton, who's going to be the other starter at the inside linebacker position, and Justin Sternad, who ended up doing a 360 flip and signing back with Denver when we initially thought we had lost them. Justin Sternad has obviously so far in the league been known as a great special teams player, but hasn't really gotten a crazy amount of opportunities to play the inside linebacker position, full time. So he's 27, he's 5 years in, but you never know. So it's gonna be certainly very interesting to see how that room plays out. Like I said, unfortunate situation for him, but We'll see if they can get him out. I mean, you got to think April. You got to think it's minimum an 8 to 10 month injury. There's some new technologies. There's some new methodologies now that come across that can get some guys to come back a little bit sooner, but not realistic. That would take them into, you're talking October, November, to where he could maybe end up coming back. So would it be worth it if the you know e- even e- let's listen, if the Broncos are in a playoff push, is it really going to be worth it? Or are we really going to want to see Drew Sanders back? I mean, maybe to get him in on special teams or something. If it's one of those years that it's just about developing and watching the young guys develop and get better, then sure, I can see him maybe playing the final quarter of the year just to kind of get some snaps underneath his belt. But I don't see too much of a season happening there for Drew Sanders. So certainly unfortunate. Um, yeah, I mean it kind of sucks, but hopefully it's a storyline that we don't have to hear too much of again this year. The Broncos and the new training staff have done a wonderful job of keeping these guys healthy, and preventing them from sustaining a lot of injuries. This is just unfortunately one of those, like, early they come off of the off season, a lot of time off, and these kind of injuries, man, they just happen. They just do. So hopefully we don't have to hear too much more of this, for sure. In other news that this happened kind of a couple weeks ago. I didn't think it was worth making a video, but I thought it was interesting. Is that the Broncos actually signed Trenton Gill, the punter formerly of the Bears. The Bears cut him because he ended up drafting a punter, I think in like the fourth or the fifth round. And so that's some legitimate competition. They had that Constantinu, I think was his last name, guy for a little bit that they brought in. As an undrafted free agent, somebody that to create some competition for Riley Dixon, but they ended up parting ways with him and bringing in a little bit more experience. So for me, this is a full blown punting competition. They are putting Riley Dixon on notice. Riley Dixon last year was like the definition of an average punter. He wasn't bad, which is a good thing, but he wasn't elite either. And I think the punting position is obviously still has some importance to it, but nothing like kicker does, in my opinion. Um, but he was really highly sought after by the team. One of the first signings that they made in the Sean Payton era. They obviously felt like he was okay, but not that special. He's 30 years old, but Trenton Gill is coming in. He's 25. Maybe they feel like he's got a lot more upside. I think it's going to be a legitimate competition, and I think ultimately, I think Trenton Gill is gonna maybe end up winning this, but we're gonna have to see. But anyways, let me know you guys' thoughts on this Drew Sanders injury. Do you guys expect for it to be a bigger deal than I'm kind of making it to be? Um, and anybody in mind that you think can come in and be a replacement? I mean, obviously, right now there's not gonna be a lot of options, but do you think that eventually they will sign a vet, or make a trade, or they just kind of focus on standing pat and going with the guys that they have, and continuing to develop, those younger guys. So let me know what y'all think. Appreciate you guys riding with me, man, through all this. I'm really excited about some things that are coming up. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button because I've got some amazing fantasy football content that's going to be on the way, and obviously a bunch of great Broncos content as well. And hoping to not only get some of you guys that are watching my videos onto a show. I'd love to invite you guys on and get you involved and hear your opinions and just create a new community. But I'd love to do some more things in the future with David from David Talks Broncos. Show him some love, by the way. He's always putting out some great stuff. He also has another channel called David Talks Buffs, where he does exclusive Buffs content, and he's kicking some real ass there. And hopefully we can get Jeremy back on here as well, man, as we get into the first phase of minicamp. The rookies are now joining the vets, and there are going to be some actual team activities going on. So super pumped about that. And but yeah, if you guys, it'll help me a lot if you can hit subscribe on that channel. Always give me some good feedback as to what you think I could be doing to do better with these videos. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want the best of the best when it comes to fantasy content, I'm gonna have a lot of great stuff. So super excited about that. Anyways, y'all have a great rest of your evening. Take it easy. Hopefully, you guys are able to get some sleep over the next couple of nights from that exhausting, emotionally draining, exhausting weekend that we had this past weekend. But appreciate you guys all. Much love. Mile high salute to everybody. And as always,